Welcome to another episode of Sol y Punto. My name is Nicole and I am a knitter, natural dyer, and creative herbalist adventurer from New York, living here in Granada in the south of Spain. If this is your first time here, welcome back. If this is your first time here, not welcome back, but welcome. And if it's the first time here, welcome back. I typically go around Granada looking for different places where I can record, and this is a new spot. We are right up against the Alhambra Palace, which is a fortress palace from a long time ago. I'll put a photograph here. And yeah, we'll see how this spot is. So this is the 30th episode. If you have not seen the other ones, maybe go back and watch them, or don't, or whatever. But I am really excited to share lots of things with you today. We have a transformed finished object. This was a finished object and then it became a new object. We also have some other finished objects. We have tales from my adventures because I have been in Sevilla 2023 in May. I was also in New York. I taught a workshop in Brooklyn. It was International Knit in Public Day. So we have so many things to talk about and I'm so excited to be here to share with you. If you speak Spanish, I have the same episode, more or less the same, in Spanish alongside this one, so you can go and check that out. If you are a non-native speaker and practicing English, I am an English teacher, so I would be happy to help you if you are going on your English speaking journey. And yeah, always at the end of each episode, I typically talk about a plant that has been catching my attention or something from herbalism. And today we are going to talk once again about Artemisia. Artemisia vulgaris, which is known as mugwort or cronewort, a beautiful plant that is extremely abundant in New York City. So we'll be talking about that. And yeah, I'm always joined by my dog Oso, who's chilling out right here next to me. And that's it. So go grab your cup of tea or your knitting or your whatever you're going to do, your embroidery, and let's get started. Okay, thanks for watching. Ciao. All right, so first I want to show you my Sol y Iyodo top. I'm gonna put like a video here of me backing up because I'm very comfortable and I don't really want to move, but I love how boxy and big it is. So you might remember this top from last summer, last Sevilla. I knit it in hedgehog fibers and life in the long grass. And it was a beautiful speckled neon chaos striped and it had like lavender side panels, but not up here, only down here. And it was a little bit smaller because I only did side panels and I didn't, so I kind of just connected it right here. So it was a little bit more narrow. And the colors, honestly, like I wasn't wearing it anywhere. I felt like it was very Easter egg-like, which is not really my colors, not really my style. And I was like, you know what? I could naturally dye this. I could take it apart. I could put it in a dye bath and see what happens. So that's what I did. I took off the lavender side panels and this part was like white stripe, like white with speckles and then purple stripes, purple, light purple. And this is my pattern Sol y Iyodo, which by the way, there will be an update available on that pattern to explain how you could make it even wider with the sleeve panels if you want. This is a new addition, this part. And so that pattern is available on Ravelry and Ko-Fi if you are interested. But yeah, so I took off the purple side panels because though it's like a kind of like a modular piece, like you knit these two, you knit two squares and then you sew them together up here, and then you pick up stitches over here and then knit as much as you want, which is nice about this pattern because you can adjust the size if you want it wider. I can stand up. Let's see. Wow. I haven't been doing my yoga. I'm very not agile. I need to really get practicing. Oh, and here comes the dog. Hold on. Oso, no pasa nada. Oso. Túmbate, ahí a curucucu. Okay, well, I'm gonna put in a video here so you can see where we are. And now I'm gonna put in a video of me walking around in this top so that you can see what it looks like. But anyway, let me just tell you a little bit more about the transformation. So I think this is an important tip and something to remember, that your knitting and your fiber art is alive. It can transform, it can evolve, it can turn into something else. It can be undone and knit into something else. It can be dyed, it can be adjusted. I think that's one of the beautiful things about knitting, because it's never ending, the possibilities, and I think that's a really cool thing to be able to do. So anyway, Oso, ven aquí. Ven aquí. ¿Quieres salir? Mira. Oh, his favorite grass is growing right here. Venga, ahí. Oso, ¿tiene mucho calor? Is it really hot? Honestly, we're like in a very shady spot and it's cooler than in my house here, so we got it good. Anyway, so I took off the purple side panels and then I made up a bath of Logwood. If you know Logwood, it is a lavender dye, but when in high quantities and sometimes mixed with like a yellow plant dye, it turns into, I'm gonna go right here, so. You want to sit right here? You want to eat that grass? It turns into like a dark grayish deep blue, and that's what I was thinking would happen. But Logwood is also affected by the pH, and because this had been acid dyed by a indie dyer, it turned brown. And I knew that Logwood turns brown if it's like more acidic, and that's what he wants to sit right up against me. He's very snuggly these days. Hi, mi oso. He's such a cutie. So I knew that Logwood turns brown, yeah, when the pH is lower. And people normally add bicarbonato, baking soda, to make it more basic, to make sure that it stays lavendery purple. But why not a chocolate brown? When I took it out of the dye pot, I was like, oh my god, it's so beautiful. And it's actually perfect. I like it more than like a bluish color. And then once I had this, I was like, ooh, because my idea was to like make the side panels again in the lavender. But then I saw this one, and this is a beautiful yarn that Marisol gave to me last year on the Camino de Santiago, which is coming up soon. And it is by Sweet Sparrow yarn, and it's like a tweedy color, and the colorway name is Herb Garden. And so I love the combination. I think it looks really pretty, the brown. It's like mint and chocolate. I think it's fabulous. So I'm very excited about the transformation of my Sol y Iyodo, and I want to knit more of these tops because they're like super easy to knit. It's just like this lace repeat in a square, and then depending on how your gauge turns out, like I knit the same number of stitches in cotton yarn and the shape is so much different. Like it's longer, it's wider too, like the cotton grew so much. So I think it's really nice that you can like add these side panels as much or as little as you need once you've knit the base of the center. So I think it's a cool pattern in that way. It's very much pattern recipe, so if you get the pattern, it's not like every line. It's like I tell you how to do the lace repeat and then I say just go. So if you're up for that, I think it's cool. Or you can just do this yourself. It's really easy. It's just 2 squares and then the side panels, piece of cake. All right, so more things. Hi. So we're here in another location. See how long this one lasts. Different day, same shawl. Although I think in English I didn't get up to talking about this beautiful shawl by Marianela Gallo. This was the shawl that Marianela designed for Sevilla Teje. It is a 1 skein shawl, although I had to add a little bit extra of another color, which is totally fine. You can make the shawl your own. And yeah, Marianela says that you need like a little bit more than 100 grams, and my skein was exactly 100 grams. Weigh your skeins, because sometimes they weigh more than they say they do, and you have a little bit of extra. But it depends. So maybe choose your yarn that way. Make sure you have a little bit more than a skein. Or have another combining color. It's funny because this green I actually had in mind to mix with this yarn because it has a lot. This Marianela colorway from Justina actually has little spots of green in it, and so I wanted to put them together in a project, but I ended up using this for my Beltane shawl, and I just had a tiny bit left and I was like, it's perfect. And then I have them together because that was the plan when I got them at Barcelona Knits, to put them together, and they are together. So I love this shawl. I think it's great for like summer and stuff because 1 skein, it just like drapes over your shoulders if there's like air conditioning on or something, or it gets a little chilly at night. Oh, how nice. Here in Granada this week it has not been getting chilly at night, but I think it's really pretty, and it has like these edges. The ends are like that. You can wrap it around if you want a little bit more. And beautiful design. As always, Marianela designs her patterns with like everything has a meaning. And so it's really cool because you learn a little bit about the city of Sevilla when you are knitting it. So I definitely recommend this shawl. Very beautiful, super easy to knit. You follow her pattern. Again, Marianela, as she would say, like, wonderful designer. Yeah, so I think, what else did I want to tell you about this? Sol y Punto yarn, really nice. I think it needs a good blocking because I've had it like, it was in my suitcase and then I crumpled it up in my bag, but even so. So, Embarcadero by Marianela Gallo, beautiful shawl. I wore it to Sevilla Teje. Sevilla Teje. It was amazing. I mean, obviously. If you don't watch podcasts in Spanish, I have a friend from England and she also does a podcast. Her name is Emily Eva Makes on the internet. And I'll leave her information down below because she did a recap of the fair, so you can check that. I mean, it's been so long since the fair that I don't think I would do it justice if I talked about it. But it was great. We did a bingo. We talked about Save the Sheep. I love Sevilla. I love seeing knitters. It was just like a wonderful combination. And I will leave some photos here so you could see. I did do the spinning class with Arlie Lanak, which was spectacular, and she explains everything so well, so it's really easy to learn. And I think that I will continue spinning in the future with my little drop spindle, so I will fill you in on all of those adventures as well. Okay, more things. Then we're going to change scenery. So this segment is coming to you from the comfort of my home. I just wanted to show you some things that I had around here. For example, let's begin with these beautiful socks that I have finished. These are, have a tiny mistake. Yes, we must point out the mistake. You must see that among all of this beautiful lace pattern, there is a mistake. There might be more. There are probably more. But these are the verbena socks from the book, which is sitting right here, 52 weeks of socks. That says socks in there, 52 weeks of socks. This, as I have mentioned before, was a beautiful gift from a friend named, well, I don't have to say her name, but a beautiful gift from a friend, a knitting friend. And we both knit these verbena socks. And I knit mine for my mother. Well, honestly, I was knitting them for myself with my mother in New York, and my mother said, "Oh, those are so beautiful, I would love to have them." And I said, "Well, then they are for you." And the funny part is that my friend who lives here in Spain has a daughter, my friend who gave me the book, has a daughter who lives in New York. And I have a mother who lives in New York, and she gifted her verbena socks to her daughter in New York, and I will give them to my mother in New York. And I think that's really beautiful. And as we spoke in another episode about the plant verbena, like vervain, blue vervain is a plant that is very calming to the nerves. It's like a balm. And it was really nice to have these socks to work on while I was in New York. I threw away the little piece of paper that I was using to follow the lace pattern because it was all written all over, because you have to repeat the lace pattern. I never memorized it, but it has become more intuitive. So I have started, I was going to say finished, no. I have started the second sock. Oh, and the second sock is living in something from Sevilla, which I haven't shown you, and it's already full of airport germs and dust. I should probably wash it because this was my project bag that I brought with me to New York. Look at that little bunny. My dearest Marianela bought this for me because she knows that I am a fire rabbit of the year of the Chinese rabbit. And this is by Paloma Liranzo. She had a stand right next to Lucia Luimu and in front of Bio Crochet and next to Tanta in Sevilla. And I loved this. It's so cute. Look at him. He's just sitting there knitting on the knitting chair. It's like my knitting chair. I showed this to my brother and I was like, "Look, it's me." And he's like, "It is you." So with the little plants over there, it's just adorable. So they had really beautiful things at their stand. And I have got my second sock. Look at how much yarn is left. That's why I made a very long cuff. And I've got two beautiful stitch markers. This is Rose Quartz and this is Aquamarine. And I've just got a little bit going so far. And actually I did the cast on that I will link down below, that is on Marianela's YouTube channel. And she says that it's her favorite cast on, and it's super stretchy and super easy. So I will link that cast on down below so that you can have a look at it. And more things. Okay, so since we're at my house, I can show you some things that I have hanging around, some things that I brought with me from New York. For example, my little mouse Frederick. Isn't he so cute? My aunt actually made him and gifted him to me, and he's adorable. He needs to have some foot surgery. He's having a little problem down here, but he'll be fine. We're gonna fix him. He's actually a bookmark, but as you can see, I would need to have a very big book of herbs or something, but I was thinking that actually he would probably work in this book, no? Because it's a big book. But he lives up there where I have things hanging, and yeah, isn't he so cute? I love all the possibilities of crochet. I think that you can do so many things with crochet, and I really should get back into it. My aunt was making this and I said, oh, I want one, and she gave it to me, and I love him so much. He joined me when I went to the workshop in Brooklyn. My little Frederick, he's like a New York City rat. I would say he's a New York City rat, and he's adorable. Yeah, and my aunt is so creative. I think that she just like looked at a picture and made this. And yeah, I think that is where I get a lot of my creativity from, because that is the aunt who hung out with me a lot when I was a little kid, and she used to paint and do so many different things. So thank you, Aunt Diane. And this is also from my aunt, and it's like a little basket. Like, I don't have anything in here now, but because he's just also hanging up like where I do my work and stuff, so my two friends can hang out with me. But I thought this was such a cute idea as well, and you can put in here like a little flower pot and have like a little cactus in there, and that's like such a nice little gift for someone. A little koala. And I do not know what yarn she used for this, but it's super soft and squishy. Like, I think it's acrylic, but it's fuzzy and lovely. So those are my two little friends, and I think that I need to get back into crochet because this is really cool. Like, you can make so many fun things. Okay. So let's talk about Cleos Yarn Shop in Brooklyn. This is a super cool shop, and if you have never been there, I highly recommend you heading over there because the neighborhood's really cool. The shop is incredible. I'm gonna put in some pictures here. And Cleo is the owner of the shop, and she is just like so open to ideas and things, and I was like, hey, like, maybe can we do this event? And she's like, absolutely, sure, like, whatever. So I ended up doing two things there. First we did, like, she does Friday night happy hours, so I came to one of her Friday night happy hours and I did a natural dye demo. And then the following weekend I did a natural dye workshop with Save the Sheep yarn, and it was so much fun. Actually, someone from my high school signed up. Hi Katie, if you're watching this. I hope you're not, because that's I'm always like embarrassed of my podcast. My dad's like, hi Nicole, I'm watching your podcast. But that's okay. These are like little journals for me and to share with other people and to share information, and that's why we're here. And if my family or my high school friends see it, it's okay. It's fine. That's who I am. That's me. Yeah, so I had a really great time. Cleo's Yarn Shop is really cool because they also have photography things. So if you're interested in cameras or photography, they like sell old vintage cameras, and I think that they have a service to get your film developed, and just like the combination of yarn and photography. Very cool. And like the location is in this like really hipster cool like area with all these interesting bars and restaurants. I went with Shamika. Hi Shamika. If you're watching this. I went with Shamika to a cool bar called the Brooklyn Tree. She was like, Nicole, it's called the Tree. You have to go there. You're gonna love it. And I did. I had the best grilled cheese sandwich ever. And sweet potato fries. Yeah, so I highly recommend that shop. If you have not seen it, go check it out. It's worth it. And the first night when we did the demo, I was dyeing some wool. And so this is the wool that I dyed. Okay, as you can see that it's really not that vibrant or exciting, the color, but I think it is because, first of all, this yarn is a yarn that Antonio brought for me from Italy that contains dog hair. It contains hair of the dogs, which are the sheepdogs for the sheep. So it has the sheep wool and then the shepherd dog hair all spun together. And it's a really interesting spin. I don't know if you can see. And the yarn is really nice. It's very like rustic but soft and squishy. And no, it doesn't really smell like mugwort, but the entire shop smelled like mugwort. So I decided to sorry, my mom's texting me and distracting me. Mom, didn't you know I'm podcasting? Yeah, so when I went to New York, I knew I was gonna do the demo, and I thought I am just gonna find whatever plant jumps out at me, whatever plant is abundant in my neighborhood in New York, and that's what I'm gonna use to dye. I can always over dye it if I'm not interested in the color. I can always do more things with it, but I want to use something from New York and I want it to have New York imbued into the color. So as soon as I got off the airplane and my parents picked me up, we were driving along the highway and I was like, look at all that mugwort. It was insanely abundant. Like there was mugwort on every street corner. When I took the train into the city, it was all along the tracks. It was like, there was like abandoned lots were just like overtaken with mugwort. The entire New York tri-state area where I was just mugwort galore. And it's funny, I was talking to Maria of Daughters of the Red Sunset, and she said, you know, plants typically grow in places where they're most needed. And I thought, And she said, you know, the daily grind of New York, like maybe New Yorkers really need a cup of mugwort to connect with the other realms. I don't know. If you know anything about mugwort, you know that it is a dream herb. It like intensifies dreams. It connects you with the plant world. I think that it helps you like get out of like stressful rhythms and stuff. So I just thought it was really interesting that mugwort was so abundant, and mugwort is also a dye plant, although it is very, very light. I think that had this been a superwash yarn, it might have been a more vibrant color, but as we know, when yarns are not superwash, it's always like a lighter, more subdued color, but honestly, I think it's beautiful. And I love that I dyed it in New York. And I loved that the entire like happy hour we were all in there and like I was like cooking with the pots and like the whole shop smelled of mugwort and everyone's like, wow, it smells so good. And it really does, it smells great. You can use mugwort for smudging if you've ever heard of that, where you dry the herb and you burn it and you can like purify the area like an incense, no? And so I love dyeing with things that smell good, you know, like another option, like a backup plan was chamomile, because I can get chamomile at any bodega, any shop in New York. Which by the way, I bought my mom's a whole big thing of chamomile for $5 in Walmart, like, and it was like in Spanish and like in like a spice thing, but it was like beautiful big flowers. And I was making her like chamomile for eye washes or cups of chamomile tea or even chamomile book baths. And I had it in case I needed it for dyeing, but I was very happy to use the mugwort, and I like rode my bicycle around town and just like was picking it from empty lots and just getting it everywhere. So I had a really good time with that and Cleos yarn shop. I'm also going to add some photos now from the dye event, because that was the following weekend and so many people came and it was really lovely to meet everyone. And yeah, we had a really good time and we got all messy and everyone brought home their little Tamagotchis. And then people were showing me the results of what they had dyed. Because we did solar dyeing and that takes about a week or so for like the colors to set. So after the class, everyone washed it out and then they sent me pictures, and it was so cool to see how different everyone's projects had come out. So I had a great time there, and I just want to say thank you to Cleos Yarn Shop because that was a really great experience. And yeah. Then after that, there was another New York City yarn meetup hosted by Miguel of Tequila Tacos and Tajitos, Tacos Tequila and Tajitos. He's on Instagram. I'll put his information here. If you are in the New York area, I highly recommend following him because he does New York knitters meetups. And he organized on National International Knit in Public Day. He organized a meetup in Bryant Park. That was so much fun. I got to go there and like hang out with so many knitting friends. And wind up my Madeline Tosh ball that I got at Knitty City. Isn't it beautiful? Oh, so yeah, so I had a lot of fun in New York with knitters and hung out with so many people, and I hope to be back soon. I want to go to Rhinebeck. I want to go, I want to go, I want to go. Maybe. Okay, more things. Really quickly, before we go, I just wanted to add what I have in my needles now, which is another Marianela classic. And this is the Flamingo Shawl. I love that I like made all my markers to go with it. Actually, this is a puka shell necklace that I found at my house in New York and brought it back. So I was like, I'm gonna make stitch markers out of it. And so this is my combination of rose quartz, puka shells, and aquamarine for my Flamingo Shawl. Oh, I didn't say spoiler alert. Spoiler alert! Yeah. And it's beautiful. This is a mystery cal by Marianela Gallo. I am knitting it in 2 gorgeous yarns. This is cake yarn. The name of the colorway is Flamingo Feet, so perfect for what I'm knitting, a flamingo shawl. And this is Madeline Tosh. It didn't have a colorway name, so I'm calling it like Montauk Beach or like Beachy Sands or something, because it's got like blues and grays and tan and sandy color. So this is my Flamingo Shawl, little by little. I did actually block it because when you make these feathers, it gives like a little bubble, and I wasn't sure that that was gonna block out because I am knitting it on a much smaller needle. I'm knitting it on a 3.5, and I think Marianela asked for 4.0 millimeter, but I always knit on a smaller needle, so because I knit loosely. But blocking it, everything came out beautifully. It's gonna be gorgeous, love it. So I will keep you posted on that as well. Okay, ciao! Okay, so today's plant I'm going to talk about is Artemisia vulgaris, which vulgaris means actually like common. So this is the common mugwort. It's also known as Crohn's wort or sometimes maidenwort, but Artemisia vulgaris. It is in the Asteraceae family, so it's similar to like daisies. It is native to Europe and to Asia and can be found in most parts of North America. It can grow, I don't know, up to almost 8 feet tall. I've heard of it growing up to like 2, 3, 4 meters, like really tall. I've never seen it that tall. And so the name comes from mugwort, because this was the plant that was used to flavor alcoholic drinks before hops. Possibly. There's also the idea that in Old Norse, the word muggy comes from marsh, like meaning marsh, because it's where this plant can grow. Yes, I'm not really sure why it's called mugwort, but one of my favorite herbal teachers, Susan Weed, is famous for saying that mugwort told her, "Don't call me mugwort. I have nothing to do with the drunken fantasies of men. Call me cronewort. See the silver hairs on the back of my leaves? I offer you the visions of the wise old crone." If you don't know what a crone is like a wise older woman. No, there's like the maiden years when a woman is young and a maiden, no, and then there is the mother years, and then there is the crone time, like after being a mother, and when maybe now you are a grandmother or a crone. So yes, mugwort is known as the bringer of dreams. This is a very magical plant. There's lots of lore about magic around this plant, which you can all investigate for yourselves. By the way, I'm going to mention this once again. I am not a doctor, so if I talk about any ways of using this plant internally or anything, investigate on your own, talk to your medical professionals, and don't take my word for it, but I will just share my knowledge with you. Yes, so mugwort can be used really not even internally for dreams, but many people make scented dream pillows. So you just take the leaves and dry them, and then they're sewn into like a sachet. And I think that's really beautiful. And all you sewers out there, you could totally make a mugwort pillow or cronewort. Let's call her cronewort from now on. Cronewort. So you can make a cronewort pillow, like you make a lavender sachet, you can make a cronewort sachet. And it's also used in moxibustion, which is like using acupuncture points and the smoke of the cronewort or the Artemisia. Yes, and you could also make like a smudge stick and burn it, and it smells really nice. And Artemis is the goddess of healing and the moon and the hunt. No, Diana, right? Diana in, I think, the Roman mythology, or Artemis in the Greek mythology. It has been used often in teas or tinctures for women's reproductive ailments, if you have cramps, or to moderate bleeding, and also to bring on the menses, to bring on the period. So it is not recommended for pregnant women and even for breastfeeding women. It's an emmenagogue, which means that it can stimulate the uterus to bring on a period. So obviously if someone is with a pregnancy, a wanted pregnancy, you don't want to be consuming mugwort, cronewort in large amounts internally. It is a bitter aromatic herb, so it is wonderful to improve digestion and liver function. It can ease any gas pains that you might have. It has a very high mineral content. I think it has a lot of magnesium, and you can take the leaves and put them into maybe apple cider vinegar and make a salad dressing or marinade. You let them infuse into the vinegar for a few weeks, and I mean, you could start using it as soon as it tastes good. It is very interesting because I have a plant here in Granada which I have always thought was mugwort, and it smells beautiful. I don't know if it smells like mugwort because I've only had dried mugwort from like shops, herbal shops and stuff, but I've never had the plant in real life and someone telling, or in alive, you know. And now I'm in the doubt that it could possibly be ragweed, which I think is incredible because who knew that ragweed and cronewort look so similar? But actually, common ragweed is called Ambrosia artemisifolia. So like even in the botanical name, Artemisia is Ambrosia artemisifolia is common ragweed. So I don't know. I don't know if common ragweed has a scent like this plant that I often visit. And I don't know if common ragweed has the silver bottoms under the leaves. But the one that I visit does. That's why I thought it was cronewort. But this like little inkling of doubt has come to me now, and I don't know. But anyway, maybe I'm going to put some videos in here of the plant that I visit, and maybe someone can tell me. The thing is that I've never seen this plant in flower, and I think that it's easiest to tell ragweed and cronewort apart when it's in flower. But the mugwort or the Artemisia that I think that I'm seeing is in a garden, and it's always like cut down before it flowers. So I don't know what the flowers look like. Or at least I've never seen them. Anyway, in the Artemisia family, there's Artemisia vulgaris, which is the one I'm speaking of, but there's also wormwood, which is Artemisia absinthium. And if that name sounds familiar, absinthe is where the name comes from, because the plant wormwood was used to make absinthe, which is, have you seen, what's that film? Moulin Rouge, no? With the absinthe. Anyway, absinthe, you know the drink, right? The alcoholic drink, which brings on visions, just like Artemisia vulgaris can also bring on dreams. It definitely, I mean, I've tried Artemisia vulgaris in the dried form, bought and labeled from a shop, and I've had that in tea form, and I have had very intense dreams. I think that if you are prone to nightmares, it could make your nightmares worse or something, so be careful with that as well. I mean, you could try it as like a dream pillow, and then if you like it, people use it for like lucid dreaming. They say that if you dream in black and white, Artemisia vulgaris will make you dream in color, and if you already dream in color, Artemisia vulgaris will allow you to make decisions in your dreams. I don't know. There is also Artemisia annua, which is Sweet Annie, and this plant, this Artemisia, has been shown to inhibit the replication of a certain virus, which is bothering us these days. In Madagascar, it's used to fight malaria. And yeah, I think Artemisia in general is really good for like inhibiting the replication of any virus. So yes. Also tarragon. Tarragon is in the Artemisia family. It's Artemisia dracunculus. White sagebrush, not to be confused with sage, but white sagebrush is also Artemisia ludoviciana. I don't know how to pronounce it. And yes, it is just, Artemisia vulgaris is a wonderful plant. Actually, I've heard that there's lots of like lore, and it's actually part of the nine herbs charm, which is like the old English charm from the 10th century that talks about 9 herbs, and mugwort is the first one. I'm going to read that to you. But yeah, I don't know. There's so much stuff. So check it out. Check it out. Find some information about mugwort, and I hope that you have really nice dreams. Okay, I'm going to read the little charm. Remember, mugwort, what you made known, what you arranged at the great proclamation. You were called Una, the oldest of herbs. You have power against 3 and against 30. You have power against poison and against infection. You have power against the loathsome foe roving through the land. And then it goes on to talk about plantain and nettles and mayapple and so many other plants. So yes, mugwort, croneswort, artemisia. I highly recommend you getting to know this plant. Oh, another thing I thought that was interesting, every plant supposedly has a planetary association, and the planetary association with Artemisia is Venus. So it's like a Friday plant because Venus, Friday. Venusian, it's the Venusian plant. And it's just beautiful, and I highly recommend you have some in your life. All right. Happy knitting and happy dreaming. Talk to you soon.